Good evening, fans of Rando, and welcome to this Speed Gaming presentation of the Link to the Past Randomizer 2022 main tournament. We are in the group stage. We have a matchup this evening between Gylgamesh and Skeeter. These runners have met once already. Gylgamesh took home the win in that game. This is the second half. Before we get too deep into the weeds there, though, I am my DM, and VXR is alongside me in the booth. How are you doing this evening?
Doing pretty good. So as you can see, we've got Ambrosia tonight. So standard world states, assured sword, Uncle will hint where the boots are, and all bosses will drop an item. Not a dungeon item.
It can be something as terrible as 20 rupees, 10 sticks, 3 bombs, or, the boots are out there somewhere. The uncle's going to give us a hint. It could be in a dungeon and therefore on a boss.
Alright, boots are in Misery Mire today. It's probably going to be a while before we get them.
Unlike other standard starts, this is a situation where the uncle does not have to give us a random weapon, and in this case does only give us 10 sticks. The assured sword is assumed to be what you're going to use to get through the escape sequence. Anything else is just in the nature of a bonus.
And we get some powder out of this chest.
Interesting to note, Gylgamesh opts for both of the small magic decanters there, while Skeeter says, nope, I'm fine without any.
Alright, we're now into the escape into Hyrule Castle itself. Those bombs at the start are nice because we can get to the back of escape without having to worry about skipping it and, it having your first glove, which loves to happen sometimes.
Yeah, always nice when you don't have to worry about farming through the prize packs, remembering which prize packs have bombs in them, and hoping that you actually land on them if it's not just the bomb pack.
So Skeeter's going with a pug spray. I'm trying to... What is Gilgamesh's sprite?
I think that's some character or another from the Phoenix Wright series. I can't claim to be personally familiar with it, but somebody is gonna know. Somebody out there in chat land is gonna have the answer for us.
Yeah, Misery Mire.
Those green guards are trying to be awfully helpful. Both of our runners opting for double pot strats here, not wanting to take any risks in the early game.
And not a whole lot in the front of escape, other than a bug net.
And we know based on our key logic that the next item they get is going to be the small key in Dark Cross, its vanilla location, because without that they're not going to be able to complete the escape sequence. So as they're working on that, I'll say these runners are both in Group H. They have both run 2 races. Gylgamesh is 2-0 at the moment, while Skeeter is 1-1. That one loss came at the hands of Gil. So maybe looking for a little revenge this evening as they get game number 3 in.
Yeah, the previous race was inverted key sanity, so this is a nice reprieve from things like that.
Gylgamesh was saying beforehand that he was somewhat disappointed that it couldn't be inverted key sanity again. Apparently the more abnormal modes are something of a favorite of his. To go a bit into the tournament format, the groups are 4 players large. The top 2 players from each of those groups will advance. It's a full round robin. You play everybody in your group twice.
It's both are making their way through Dark Cross because this is standard. We are given a light cone, even though we don't have a lamp, so that way we can get through here.
And on the off chance,
subsequent visits, you don't get the lamp.
In fact, you do.
Or like one if you don't have the lamp. Or do you?
Yes, you do.
Oh.
Because
yes.
your glove can 100% be locked away behind the bomb wall, and you may not have access to bombs on the first trip. Now, in the vanilla game, you're not allowed to get in here without a lamp at all. Zelda will say, no, 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 you have to have a light source before we'll go into the dark.
Hey, we had a bow.
Early access for a potential Eastern Palace visit. And it looks like Gil is going to eke out a very slight sub-6 advantage in the escape sequence. Skeeter just going to be a handful of seconds behind here.
That was a hook shot.
That was a hook shot.
And that was a pendant at Desert.
And crystals at the other 2 locations, I believe.
Yes, they were. Right now we've made it out. Skeeter is choosing to go south with the hookshot and bow.
I won't say that this is a standard play, but it's kind of normal by the lights of Randomizer. Sometimes you'll want to maybe try and put off the village for a little while, hope you get a bottle and or the flute before you get there. Well, Gil is opting for the, we'll call it the old-fashioned, the tried-and-true method of simply leaving the escape sequence, heading right over to the village, one of those really item-dense locations where you can find all kinds of things, hopefully.
Do we know what this MSU pack is that we're hearing?
I'm hearing a lot of things that sound like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games, so I'm assuming it's some kind of a combo Ninja Turtles pack. But I do not know that for a fact. Maybe that's just all the songs I'm noticing because I know them.
A whole lot of money in Mini Roller Cape today.
Yeah, low denominations of currency does not even get into range of Zora money, so Skeeter going over on that first big density check, while Gylgamesh has pulled the book out of Blind's old hideout.
Really the only thing of note in Blind's hut. Okay, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Retro Collection, thank you.
Of course, one of Gilgamesh's teammates from various formats, Talon, would have the answer for us. Because the community does not just do main tournament, there are all sorts of other things, leagues, other tournaments in other formats kicking around all the time, but right now here what we have is this. We rolled up the ambrosia for anybody who's just kind of joining in and saying, what's going on here? There was a chance of one of 4 modes tonight, normally one of 5, but these two faced each other in a previous game, so there was not a chance they were going to pull the inverted keys mode that they played previously. The others being open keys, the tournament qualifier, open hard item pool mode, and an MC boss shuffle. But what we have today is Ambrosia, which was the standard start that you saw with the Assured Sword, and the bosses are going to have an item, so it disincentivizes Pendant dungeons a little bit, is about the size of it.
Nice early safeties in CAC, both Half Magic and Burna. Gylgamesh ran out of bombs, so he had to go buy some from the shop.
Luckily enough, the shop is just right there. Pretty much on the route as you head into the final singleton check before you leave the village, and there is the hammer.
Just looking for a glove to get us into the Dark World.
And it is interesting, between the birds being in Magic Pool and that half magic, there was no way that Skeeter was going to wind up in a situation where the powder was not a makeable check here. So the gamble to save a second or two by not picking up those small magic decanters, or at least one of them, is paying out.
And some more sticks.
Not that it would have been a punishment anyway.
Oh, we're still a ways away from Aghanim. There's still a lot of left. We're just looking for a glove for Dark World access.
Seems mildly unlikely for the moment, but every once in a while, both of the gloves are just tucked away in the Dark World.
I was just read the library, so we're not coming back to that. Skeeter? Okay.
We'll see 20s there. Skeeter, the one in the well. Gylgamesh sees one on race game and says, nope, you know what, don't need it.
Gylgamesh is gonna head south. Desert Palace is open, although we're still, of course, nowhere near being able to get the boots.
Knowing that the boots are locked away with no glove, with no fire source, I would be really surprised to see a play to the Desert Palace area right now. Dam east towards Mini Moldorm Cave would be the more expected play, I would say, but you never know. Maybe Gil decides this is the time to take a little bit of a risk. Independent Desert Palace. Skeeter going to be wrapping these village checks up here, pulls that hammer out of the back of the bar, says, alright now, Seed, if you'll just give me a glove, please, I'm in pretty good shape.
That could be sitting in Eastern Palace. We can full clear it, though, not in logic, since you don't have any fire sources. So, Gylgamesh will get pretty close to Zora money with all this money in here.
Close, but not quite there yet. 39 rupees short.
Peter's got the Zora money. Although we have no logical access there anyways. He has no glove and no flippers. Yeah, I expect these two will... I was gonna say, I expect these two to converge in Eastern soon.
Yeah,
it's a clearable crystal.
Yes, it is. It also has that rupee room in the back if you decide you want to put off the out-of-logic Zora play for just a little while. Skeeter with that blind run through the race game, sees the 20 and says, no, you know what, I'm good. Even though I spent all this time, the extra 20 rupees is not valuable enough to me. And as you surmised, a little convergence toward Eastern here.
They're just right in sync as they go to visit Saha. And a whole lot of nothing.
Okay, as we begin to run low on available checks, it looks like both of them are just gonna continue right on over to Eastern Palace. There's not enough left for them to do anything else, really. Step for step, and Gil using the hookshot there to make up the step-ish that he was behind. Feels vaguely like we're watching an NMG run until they start going places you would never go in that.
Like going to this chest. Oh, well, they took different staircases. So Skeeter took a little bit of an advantage, or a little bit of a head start to this chest. Alright, 50 rupees for the first item.
Not really changing much now. We will bear in mind the Ambrosia rule. We're only going to see one more item until we get to the boss. Meaning that if it's not a lamp or a fire rod to give us logical access to the boss, it's going to be what we came here for, or the answer is just somewhere else. Skeeter having a bit of an adventure there.
Key.
Vanilla Big Key, so the answer is not here logically. Now that's not going to stop our runners from clearing the place out since they've already come this far, but that means they should know that they're looking for something outside of this palace.
And what else is that? Gina and the one check in desert.
I think that's about the size of it, yeah.
Yeah, because we can't get into Castle Tower right now.
And Goron in chat makes a good point. There's also whatever's hiding on Desert Ledge. The book gets us that as well.
It does.
Gylgamesh going with the invincibility to get through that anti-fairy cloud, and Skeeter as well.
We're still on pretty low health, and doesn't take up a ton of magic since we have half magic. That's just a piece art in the big chest, and now we'll see what Armos Knights have for us in about a minute or so.
Gil having a little trouble tracking this key down. And Skeeter resetting the room. Gil has the key. Skeeter is very definitely having an adventure in here. Oh no, and one of
Oh.
the popos got him in the dark. And he says, nope, you know what, that's enough, it's out of logic, I will come back to it later.
Yeah, fair decision.
Which does mean that he's going to be the runner to show us our next step in the logical progression. Which could make whatever Gylgamesh gets off of the Armos Knights here very interesting.
I could tell us a lot about the logic of his progression. As even with the fire rod, this is out of logic, right? Pretty smart.
So, no logical implications at all, just a first crystal on the board for Gylgamesh at 20 minutes.
That's just a red rupee on Desert Ledge. Interesting. Skeeter choosing to go straight into desert and then check Agina later.
It seems unlikely, missing all of the access pieces for the boss here, that he's going to be at all punished for choosing this over that. We know the boots are elsewhere. Even if we get a glove and a fire source, we could still be boots locked, which we'll find out here momentarily.
Well, there's the big key.
So, not immediately boots locked, could still be logically boots locked. Which we are.
Which we are. Hey, a vanilla glove.
Hey, that's vanilla. Thank you, game. Looked like Skeeter thought about the save and quit there. May now be going out and heading over to the Agina check as a just in case I came all this way, I should probably see it before I leave the area because when am I ever coming back?
Yeah, not because again the boots are long ways away.
And that appears to be exactly what he has in mind as the bomb comes out and he's trotting right over to Agina's cave.
We know our second desert items on land modes, which we're gonna skip on that. At least Skeeter's gonna skip on that for now. Oh wait, we don't have a fire source. Never mind me.
Maybe if you hit the braziers enough with the hookshot, you could strike some sparks and get them to light up? I don't know. That sounds like a major glitch to me. It appears Skeeter's going to go take this back. Maybe this is a quick mountain play? That's entirely possible. It's another little sequence break without the lamp, but definitely a play you can make.
Thinking maybe you could also check Lumberjack, but it's too late not to do that for now. Agina had a heart container. And Gylgamesh going to take that glove and go into the dark.
Well, Skeeter appears to be a little... Oh, okay. There it was just not quite high enough up to get to the old man section there. I thought for a moment that he was entirely lost in the dark, and that is a bad place to be.
But map check Gylgamesh gave us a green pendant pod, pendant swamp, and red crystals at Thieves Town and Turtle.
So Pyramid Fairy is rather tucked away this seed. There's an awful lot that you need to have in your inventory to really put Turtle Rock on the table. I believe there was a cape and not a whole lot else worth writing home about in that hype cave.
Yes. A lot of these experienced players know how to, especially the top 128, know how to navigate pretty much most dark rooms. But yeah, it does depend on what the room is. It's like Misery Mire dark rooms are probably the toughest ones to navigate.
And the problem tends to be more once you get off what you think the path is, getting back onto it can be difficult, which is what I was worried had happened to Skeeter there. Because he was pretty clearly tinking his sword around on the wall, trying to figure out where exactly he'd gotten. But he is now safely up the mountain into Paradox Cave. 7 items worth of density here. Paradox 2 up first. That's Bombos Medallion. That's not too bad.
Doesn't do anything for us. Oh, hi, Kano Stellaria. Also doesn't really do anything for us as of now either.
Doesn't change a whole lot, but at least it's a thing that you don't have to worry about trying to find later. Ooh, silver arrows, blue mail, a couple of nice-to-have kind of safety luxury items. First bottle with a blue potion as well.
Skeeter took a fall trying to bomb jump.
Sometimes the ledges just don't really cooperate with you. Gylgamesh about to head back into the Dark World at the portal at 3.
Another bottle on the floating island. Yeah, this is gonna be a Hera dip. Oh, that hook shot, we're gonna check Ether Tab and see what that has first, and then, but yeah, we do have a hook shot, so we can Hera pop.
It's also possible that the big key is just available in one of the first 2 checks, and that the dungeon's logical anyway. Tough to say without going in and having a look-see.
Oh, really big key.
Now, it's entirely possible that Skeeter will choose to Hera pot anyway. You get to skip a couple of intervening floors, make your life a little easier.
And here is Thieves Stone. There's a full clearable crystal. And we start out with a red boomerang.
Ah, the good old-fashioned splash deleter-rang. Not that we don't have plenty of other potential splash deletion equipment, but that is one of the items that will do the trick.
Oh, there's an item in the basement.
That is somewhat unfortunate for Skeeter, unless, of course, Moldorm is inclined to drop a fire source today. While Gylgamesh is pulling the Quake Medallion out of the Vanilla Big Key location of Thieves Town.
Yeah, 2 early medallions, which is nice. Of course, we could still have to go on an ether hunt later, depending on how things shake out.
A vanilla medallion requirement for Mire never happens.
And we've already had a vanilla glove. Are we gonna have vanilla mitts too? Oh, unfortunate fall on Boulder for Skeeter.
Unfortunate, but sometimes the worm turns. Gylgamesh opting for a little cape assistance there in what we call the Hellway of Thieves Town. While Skeeter has the refight with the worm done, this time Skeeter comes out on top, and the value is just another piece of heart. We're 2 for 2 on bosses having partial heart containers tonight.
Oh yeah, we found 3 items in the front, so there's the 4th item's gonna be blind.
And Gylgamesh, counting his items, does know that. We will see, however, if he opens or does not open the chest in the cell with blind there. It is very easy to muscle memory into that chest, even if you are paying attention to the ambrosia rule.
And I certainly was not wondering if mitts could also be vanilla. They can't.
Looks like Skeeter is going to go ahead and turn in that bottle. Let's see what the small child has for us today. Just the week's lunch money. It does appear that Skeeter is intent on joining Gylgamesh in the Village of Outcasts area here, while Gil is fighting blind. Has that blue cane equipped as a just in case we get off script, and now we are a little off script, but that's okay. Still trying not to use the cane, not to cause any of those additional lag frames to occur, and gets the fight down. Rewarded with flippers.
And this had to show up at some point because Ice Palace is a crystal, but you know, we do have Pendant Swamp, but we still need the Mire to actually get into it.
And earlier there was that discussion of, do we want to fake Flipper? Do we have enough money for Zora? Well, now there's enough money for Zora on the table, and the whole area is logical.
You're picking up red mail, which is always nice to have early on.
Not a bad
Oh,
safety,
mirror on
particularly
bumper ledge.
when the hearts are low,
So,
but yes,
yeah,
that
that
mirror is, that is a thing, isn't it?
That's a full clearable Pendant Swamp, I believe.
The logic says, hello, would you like to full clear Pendant Swamp today? And the runners say, not really, game, are you gonna make me? Would not be the first time in recent days that I've seen, oh, say, mitts in Pendant Swamp.
Alright, we're gonna get Graveyard Ledge now. We don't have the boots, so we're gonna have to put off King's Tomb for now.
And with no mitts and no boots, we also get the slog. Yes, there is a way to get there if you have no mitts and no boots, and Gylgamesh is showing it to you now, but it takes a little while.
Yeah, it's just a red rupee. Skeeter picking up Quake.
And this time I noticed the item that we didn't really think about mentioning earlier from the front of Thieves Town was the first shield.
And now we gotta take the long way out again.
And it appears to be a continuation of this Northern Dark World loop, those flippers enabling a logical clearing of this river, and Gylgamesh can go to Catfish, then use the Mire and get into the Zora area.
Yeah, this is pretty good routing from Gylgamesh. So what do we have? We could dip Pendant Pod as well, but we don't have a fire source, so not all. We do have bow and hammer.
I don't know.
Those
How would you
woods
feel
we can
about
check.
How would you feel about the pod play, knowing that particularly on Gilgamesh's side, knowing that the bow didn't lead to anything but a crystal in Eastern Palace?
Yeah, it might be an idea. Maybe the lamp's sitting in there. You know, with what we have, we could chuck Ped very wildly out of logic right now, but I don't think we're going to be doing that right now.
That would be a pretty expensive check time-wise at the moment. And we see that Zora ledge, just 10 sticks. These flippers not really doing a whole lot for us, and the Zora Lord himself in logic with the glove that we already had. Gilgamesh taking that flipperless route, even though he does have the flippers, while Skeeter is about to lead the maiden into the blind arena and be rudely surprised.
See what Gilgamesh decides to do now. I might make the play up Death Mountain.
Seems to be angling in that direction a little bit. As Skeeter pulls down that crystal from Thieves Town and adds the flippers to his inventory. So, both of our runners with 2 crystals at the moment, albeit different ones. Both of them have Thieves Town, but then Gilgamesh has the Eastern Palace crystal, while Skeeter has cleared out Tower of Hera.
Both having the in-logic crystal from Thieves Town and an out-of-logic. Yeah, I'm gonna head up to check bumper. Oh, maybe I should still woods. Of course, there's only a maximum of 1 item in the front, because Mothfield's guaranteed to have 1 item.
Makes Skull Woods a little bit more of a gambly check than it might otherwise be, but that does not prevent the logic from just putting something here that you need.
Well, we get an immediate big key.
That red bar, he almost said no, and there we are, the mitts in the front of Skull Woods. which perhaps surprisingly enough does not... Apologies, mild technical issue there on my end. Does not open up much for Skeeter except for Ice Palace.
No, we don't have the flute, so we can't get into Misery Mire right now. Can't even get to the Mire area at this point. So that those myths. Ice Palace, I think, is fully clearable?
It may or may not be logical
bombos.
depending on the Cane of Samaria, but Gil has the Cane of Samaria, so we shouldn't be worrying too much about that.
Alright, Bombos is out because of Paradox Cave. Dante, you're gonna see the cape in just a few moments.
But all of that said, I guess we're back to logical Swamp Palace or non-full clearable Pendant Pod again?
Alright, we're gonna get Gylgamesh is gonna head over to Hera, check Ether Tablet first, and then find out that he's gonna have to orphan an item in the basement.
The kind of thing you'd like to avoid, but it's not always possible.
You know, Spike Cave is something we can do. Although, again, out of logic, since we don't have logical mapping access. But once we do, it's fully in logic, since we have both Burna and the Cape, as well as half magic. I'm looking where that logical mountain access is. It feels like Swamp Palace is looking like a strong contender for it.
I'm expecting one of our runners will land on it sooner or later.
I could see Skeeter doing Smith Chain now. And we're gonna get hammer pegs now.
Both of our runners wielding the hammer just on very different targets.
I'm killing one or the other Canopies more.
One avoidable heart piece, one not so avoidable heart piece, but a third crystal on Gilgamesh's side here at 43 minutes.
Yeah, looks like Skeeter's gonna do North Dark. We're gonna see that mirror run up onto the ledge. And Skeeter's probably wondering, why didn't I have that already when I was by the Smith? Those murdered dactyls are relentless. Unlike those other crows that'll ignore you if you get so far away from them, those murdered dactyls will always come back to you.
They will not quit until you make them quit, either by removing them from the screen or removing yourself from the screen, one of the two. Skeeter now has that mirror in hand, can go start making mirror checks in addition to the things that the mitts put on the table. And it appears that Gylgamesh may finally be giving us the Pendant Swamp Palace play.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Plenty of item density here, but you know that if you want all of the items, you will have to go to the boss. And is that really something you want to do in a Pendant dungeon? You start thinking,
And
what
with
does it
Fighter
take to...
Sword,
Yeah, the silver arrows, the hammer... Yeah. Really, the fighter sword spins are okay if you hook a couple of puffs. It's not that bad. You have the silver arrow for phase 2.
oh, there's our lamp.
Imagine scouting Hylia Island. You see your lamp, and that is accessible to our runners, although not from the position that Skeeter is in at the moment.
That's where our lamp was sitting. Now White Spells logic.
Yep, all of those things that we did and found on the mountain now perfectly logical. At least from a theoretical standpoint, until we actually pick the lamp up, technically they're illogical. And in the position our runners are in, I would not be surprised to see either of them pick it up, being that it would be our first fire source. But we're going to get dueling water dungeons, one liquid water and one frozen water. Put a little of both together. Piece of heart versus full heart container. Skeeter seems to be winning the battle so far.
Well, looks like they are both sitting on 9 hearts at this moment.
And Gylgamesh opting to go ahead and rush the back here knows at the very least that the boss is going to have an item, that the other things that are here are a little quicker to get at than left side swamp, so figures, let's just give it the go, see what pops out.
AK and Compass, so left side swamp's going to have at least one item. Or at least, yeah, it will. Okay, it'll have 2 items.
Now we know it has 2, there will be something in the big chest as well, so I imagine that unless Gil finds exactly what he's looking for here, which I would think would probably be the mitts, which he's not going to find, that we'll see him going back in for a second bite at the apple here after he kills off the Argus.
They're having some trouble with the icebreaker.
Now has the pixel, just needs to get that 1 frame left input, and through the barrier he goes. A little door state extension trick. And Gil, as expected, going with these fighter sword spins on 2 puffs at a time, tends to get the job done pretty well.
Right, looks like, you know, you have silvers.
Opting for hammer strats instead. It does do tempered sword slash damage, so he'll need 4 hits to get it done, or revert back to the fighter sword spins, and that'll be 8, I think.
Anyways, Argus goes down and leaves us just a green rupee.
Certainly not the thing that Gil was hoping to find when he stepped foot in the dungeon, very likely to be walking back in for the additional 3 items that he's left behind. While Skeeter does not seem to have fared much better in Ice Palace.
We have seen 2 items so far, so we know we can skip iced tea. Because Cold Stare is going to have the last item.
This fight could be a little bit of an adventure with the fighter sword and the hammer, no fire rod to make things faster.
At least you have red mail so that everything won't hurt as much. Although 2 hearts does add up quickly.
As we are seeing, Skeeter now down to 3.5.
As I wait for fighter sword, you have to use spins to damage these puffs.
Seems to have found his rhythm, though. Has a puff down now.
Okay, he's got a blue potion.
Opting for the safety, very reasonable. Takes out Puff 2 and Puff 3. And wins the boss rupee battle 20-1. Also puts a crystal on the board, which evens his count back up with Gylgamesh. 3 apiece.
Gylgamesh making his way these 2 checks over on left side swamp. Looks like Skeeter's gonna also make the Swamp Palace play, potentially.
Given the relative lack of good options, I can understand why the other thought would be grab that lamp and go into Green Pendant Pod, which is probably where Gylgamesh will be going next unless he can somehow finally get Skull Woods on his radar. Because that blue boomerang is not going to change anybody's fortunes.
Other than that, a little bust. And where's the Gylgamesh gonna head now?
I think both of them may have
Check
K45 on the mind. Ten sticks, aka a whole lot of nothing. Skeeter showed it to you first. Gil going to hop back into that portal. That is right, Skeeter did bypass that smith chain, did the hammer pegs, but opted against the rest of it in favor of going and grabbing that mirror.
And Skeeter's gonna go pick up the lamp now. And Gylgamesh, I assume, is gonna stumble across it too.
I don't know that Gil has seen this in advance, but it's just gonna land on it. Here just a couple of seconds later. Skeeter with a fresh save and quit. Let's see where he wants to go. Ooh, it's a mountain start. Alright, so we'll get some new information here. We have those mitts now, the hook shot.
Check East Up Mountain now. East Arctuff Mountain as well. Could also go back to Hera Basement.
Would not be the first time we've seen something interesting locked behind a fire source that you didn't have on the first trip, although the game expected you to have it on the first trip. Does that make you more or less likely to make that check?
Right now, we'll see if we can get into Turtle Rock. Although there really isn't much we can do in there without the fire rod. Those bombos, so we can't open it.
So we go ahead and open it, you check the surroundings, see if you find the fire rod. Maybe you get compelled to dip in anyway, as Gylgamesh has decided this was the time to check Pyramid Ledge, and there's a second sword for the time and trouble of picking it up. And never mind anything I said, Skeeter says, well, you know what, it's here, I'm going now.
Yeah, well, you can see if you get immediately fire rod locked out. Alright, Yelena's gonna make that pod play. There's effectively a 6-item dungeon due to it being the green pendants. Okay, there's a key, so we can continue.
Ah, the invitation. But is the party good, or was it just bait all along? It's a very specific key layout required. Yep, a very specific key layout gets you all the way to Laser Bridge, but more likely than not you just get stopped at one of these next handful of doors.
See if the rabbit hole deepens. I just use Burna to not have to worry about those chain chunks. Oh, we can continue.
The invitation is extended if we have a vanilla big key. The potential exists to go all the way to Laser Bridge. Not guaranteed, we'll still need a small key in one of the next couple of available chests after this vanilla big key location.
Well, that's an immediate bow lock and pod.
Skeeter having a bit of a day there with those blue cane strats trying to get the key off of that pokey. But it did eventually work out, and that is a compass, so the trip in Turtle Rock is now done.
We are fire rod locked.
Meanwhile, Gylgamesh taking those silver arrows, breaking the bow lock on Pod. We've already seen the big key kind of shutting us down from the early non-bow locked portion, so one small key here, maybe two.
Nothing in Super Bunny Cave. Oh, Gylgamesh is going to go straight to Helmstar King. We know that there's going to be an item there, as well as a green pendant.
Yeah, it's the one place he knows he can go where he can get an item for sure, and then an extra one for his trouble. Hookshot Cave for Skeeter, very in a bottle, nice safety, but not really paying out in the kinds of things that he was looking for.
Okay, the Mire did not have to worry about that line all because Sleep touching it, I think, is one heart on red nails that could have survived another hit. Or it might be two.
It might be two, I'm not sure right off the top of my head. I am mildly surprised that Skeeter opting against that Hera basement play, going to choose to orphan it pretty heavily.
Oh, Skeeter taking a death and spike. It does, okay, it does have a fairy.
Yeah, putting that fairy from Hookshot Cave to use.
And save some magic. Ooh, mushroom.
All that for a question mark, although it does give Skeeter the excuse to go fill a bottle or two with blue potion. While Gylgamesh puts one silver arrow into that shiny green jewel on Helmasaur King's forehead and causes a great deal of explosions. That is a fire shield, the second level shield, and the green pendant. These pendant bosses not really paying out for Gylgamesh just yet. Skeeter using the whirlpool system to get over to the witch will get this mushroom checked.
Yeah. And it's just a lot of money. See if Skeeter decides to... Alright, gonna also make the pod play, it looks like. He'll finish up Eastern too now, and he's got the lamp. Oh, there's our fire rod.
Alright, suddenly the fire rod appears. That was going to be another small key in the basement for Gylgamesh for sure. There are more items in the back, and it looks like he does want to go ahead and have the look. Still missing at the very least the ice rod and the flute. We know the boots are tucked away in Misery Mire. And could still be missing Ether, we don't know.
And we have another key. We have the last key.
Palace of Darkness, all the keys you can stand.
One item left.
And now the part where the seed says, well, if you want that last item, you have to go digging a little bit.
Alright, big chest is gonna be our last item. And just 20 rupees. So we're gonna get the fire rod out of here.
Bow-locked fire rod and a green pendant to be named later.
See that right now. Yeah, that fire rod's gonna send Gylgamesh over to Skull Woods where we got the nuts.
And we now have eyes on all of the bottles. With that one Gylgamesh gets for the green pendant turn-in, plus the one that both of them have had forever, Skeeter has one from Hookshot Cave, and there's one on Floating Island to round out the set. Going to be interesting to
Oh,
see
still
what
looking
Skeeter
pretty-
chooses to do here, because he's going to get this fire rod much earlier than Gylgamesh did.
Okay, here's Sick Kid because our bottles showed up relatively late. Not too late, but after we had gone through the pack.
And it appears that Skeeter does want to go ahead and continue clearing out Palace of Darkness. We know that there's nothing else here for him, unfortunately, but he doesn't know that. I would have to look, but there was that qualifier where it was entirely possible to stop after 1 or 2 items in Palace of Darkness and still only have a quarter or half of the total progression from the dungeon. Sometimes leaving Pendant Pod just does not pay, and I wonder if maybe that was one of the qualifiers that Skeeter played in. Though admittedly 1v1 is a bit of a different beast, sometimes you'll want to make the play thinking, well, 100 of my closest rando playing friends, a handful of them might make that choice, but 1v1? Maybe I can get lucky. Maybe my opponent will dip out without this, or maybe my opponent spent the time full clearing, I can steal a few minutes.
Alright, looks like Gilgamesh is gonna route Skullwoods back to front. I also checked Head here as well. I've got the Mire, got the book. Now, Desert is boots locked logically, and the boots are in Misery Mire, which means Head cannot have the flute. It can have the Ice Rod. And if it has Ether, then we know that's not what's needed to open Misery Mire. Alright, now
Wow.
Skeeter's gonna finish off Eastern. Doesn't finish off Pod, though.
That is an interesting choice with the 2 items worth of density for 1 check, but it does take a little while to get there. I can understand wanting to try and save the time. Gylgamesh fighting the Moth here. The Moth not really cooperating, but that's common for Mothula.
Bill didn't have too much trouble with it.
Chalk another crystal up on the board there for Gylgamesh. That is now 4. Skeeter's going to even that odd out here in the next minute or so, heading towards the Armos Knights.
I feel like Flute's our next piece of progression, but we're running out of places for that.
Now that we have Fire Rod from Gylgamesh's perspective, Ice Palace looks really good once the mitts come out of Skull Woods for him, and then we could have that trip all the way to Laser Bridge if Gylgamesh wants to go to the mountain.
Mitts are Skullwood's big chest. Alright, here's the pet check.
Is it the Ice Rod or is it a bust? It is just a little piece of love.
It's a piece of art.
Oh, and Gylgamesh has left the area without finding the mitts. I can't think that he actually has that many other options at this point.
Did Gylgamesh get the mitts?
Did he? Did we both just blank on it? It's possible. I'm not going to rule it out, but I'm not sure where this play is going.
Oh, okay, he doesn't have them. That's unfortunate. Alright, we have Bombo's tablet. Maybe this might be our answer. Oh, just another B. Hera Basement. More of Turtle Rock. Yeah, let's see Smith Chain.
Skeeter, of course, going back for the moth clear makes all the sense in the world.
Skeeter is going to go and finish up Skull Woods here. Only has the Fighter's Sword. Didn't get Master Sword off a Pyramid Wedge.
Does have the half magic and refilled on 2 blue potions when turning in the mushroom, so likely to see a fire rod fight here. Maybe a little hammer usage. Hammer moth is kind of fun.
Gylgamesh is going for the out of logic Landmilla play, which we know our flute can't be here. Gylgamesh should know that the mitts can't be here either.
I think the bailout on Gilgamesh's side would be either the ice rod, obviously, or maybe a convenience item in the form of a sword that Skeeter never finds. But by and large, this is not a play that is likely to help Gil unless there are a very specific set of circumstances that come out of it.
That was junk.
As it so often is. Skeeter putting crystal number 4 on the board there with that Mothula kill, Gilgamesh being rewarded with a full heart container. Already knows that that pendant is useless and says, "Here's my mirror, goodbye." And it seems very likely that this is going to be the Hera basement play from Gilgamesh, as Skeeter gets the bad news, or maybe the good news, depending on your point of view, that the Ped has nothing.
Yeah, it's probably better news for Skeeter since he doesn't have any of the pendants, whereas Gylgamesh has 2 of them.
Now, what is Skeeter's play here? I was thinking at first that this was going to be the Pendant Swamp Dip, but instead we're going to Big Bomb Shop, which isn't going to change anything because the second 5/6 crystal is at Turtle Rock.
Yeah, now Skeeter's... Okay, double-checking the map.
There may have been a mistrack of red crystals on his personal tracker. I do not have that up and do not know that for certain, but that's kind of what it looks like when you go into the Big Bomb Shop, walk back outside, and make the map check.
Okay, here's the Hera basement. After a coffee break.
While that coffee break goes on, Skeeter is going to give us the Smith sequence. With the mirror in hand now. Relatively easy, at least to do the Smith portion of the tour. About 2/3 of the way through Tile Room. Have to go out and back in from the Smith, so we'll get the Smith first, but not by a whole lot. Handcrafted arrows, except no substitute. There's one of those swords that I was talking about that maybe Skeeter doesn't land on, although it's becoming more likely, given the things that our runners still need, that he will.
Alright, now we're gonna get Spike Cave from Gylgamesh, get that mushroom that's gonna maybe just a whole bunch of money. Alright, here's purple chest now. Yeah, Gylgamesh can't get into Alchemist.
Let's see the purple chest. 300 rupees.
Looking like Turtle Rock's the answer. I really don't see anything else much left.
No, I think that's about the size of it, and the question is going to be, can Skeeter convince himself to go back up there, having already dipped in once, or are we going to get a play to... No, we're not going to get the play to Swamp, we're going to get the illogical desert play instead.
Oh, what does Gylgamesh do now?
That's what I'm wondering. The start at Sank tells me maybe he's picked up on the idea that there was a mistrack over here, although things like that can be notoriously difficult to notice when you're in the midst of a seed. Whatever it's going to be, it is the portal at 3, and we know that Skeeter is about to spend the rest of this time getting a full heart container.
Alright, back into Skullwoods, so he's gonna get the nuts.
This is an interesting position for the race to be in, because Gylgamesh does still need to go clear out Ice Palace, and I have to imagine, still lacking the Fire Rod, will do so before heading up to Turtle Rock. Meanwhile, Skeeter is simply looking for Flute, and having already dipped Turtle Rock with no Fire Rod, does he get baited into Swamp before he goes and makes what we're reasonably sure is the play that has to be made? To try and clear up any confusion in chat, there was an earlier play made by Skeeter into Turtle Rock without the Fire Rod in inventory. So I may have misspoken talking about what Gylgamesh does or does not have.
Alright, so here's Ice Palace for Gylgamesh, and Skeeter's gonna likely head to Turtle Rock. Yeah. Skeeter finished his turn. Yeah, Tracker does like to eat inputs from time to time. Tracker's always the unsung heroes of the restream. Always keeping us on our toes. Making sure we're not missing anything. I don't know if Skeeter's gonna take that coffee break before heading to Turtle Rock.
Going to be rewarded with a sword for the time. Unlikely to begrudge the time that he's spending here, once he sees what he gets for it.
This will be Master Sword for Skeeter. Yeah, because Skeeter's on Fighter's Sword right now.
There is Master Sword for Skeeter. We are no longer worrying about a sword go mode on that side. But there are a few things still outstanding. The Ice Rod and the Flute, chief among them, potentially also the Ether Medallion. Or Quake on Skeeter's side. Do you happen to recall where that Quake Medallion was?
It was in Thieves Town. Wait, Skeeter should have it.
That could be another case of the tracking software not playing nice. We'll see if he gets into his menu or if he quick swaps around a little bit. We'll find out.
Yeah, now it's gonna get aided in the Swamp Palace now.
I had thought that Skeeter was going to avoid this, making that play up to Hera first. I'll be mildly curious to find out after the fact what the thought process was.
You have a much more comfortable cold stare fight having the fire on an tempered sword.
All sorts of ways available to him to do damage to this boss, while Skeeter said, well, you know what, I have this hammer, and Cold Stare looks an awful lot like a nail right now. Fire Rod doing Butter Sword class damage to the boss takes care of it very quickly. Going to even that crystal count back up as Gylgamesh pulls the crystal down out of Ice Palace.
Right, that is 5 crystals now. Light up with Skeeter.
And I did see as Skeeter was quick swapping from hookshot to hammer there, does indeed have the Quake Medallion.
Yep, there it is. I think Gylgamesh has done Smith Chain yet, so that might be what he's doing now.
That's possible. I can't think of much else that he's left over on this side of the world. From his perspective, it also has hammer pegs attached still as well, so it's 3 relatively quick checks. Or maybe just opts to do hammer pegs and smiths and call it there, since lootless purple chest is a little time consuming. But if you leave it off and it's there, when do you ever come back? The thoughts that run through your head as a runner as you're trying to decide, how am I getting through this seed?
I wonder what a marshmallow toasted by the fire rod would taste like. I feel like it would taste different.
I don't know, it's really the marshmallow that's charring. And of course, chat is willing to try, in the name of science, so we'll eat fire rod toasted marshmallows here. Gylgamesh getting the bad news about Hammerpeg, Skeeter about to get the bad news about Left Side Swamp. It's bad news all around right now.
Apparently the bomb didn't explode, so yeah, he's blocked off here.
Ooh, unfortunate. That is a little more time that Skeeter probably even thinks at this moment is time that he can ill afford.
Yeah, at this point I feel like you just skip that and just hope your ice rod or flute aren't there. Gotta flip the switch again. Unless he's gonna do it from the other side.
It
okay, he's
looks
just gonna
like
skip
he's
it.
simply decided at this point, nope, you know what? I've thrown enough time at it, we're not going to throw a good time after bad. Gylgamesh, now having cleared out that smith sequence, gotten the 300 rupees off of Purple Chest, is up on the mountain, where we know that the answer has to lie somewhere. Skeeter having some trouble getting the diver down to go off here. It's a series of inputs that do need to happen in more or less the prescribed manner at the prescribed time. There it is. This time he's got it wedged in against that Samaria block in the rail. And is going to walk back up the notorious trick staircase.
Alright. I'm for Turtle Rock.
Having been convinced to go back with the find of that big key, Skeeter has decided to go ahead and hit that switch after all, and we may be seeing a double back on Left Side Swamp. Gylgamesh going to make all of these checks outside Turtle Rock first. Makes a lot of sense. You don't want to be in a position where you have to come back after all of Turtle Rock and say, oh, right, my ice rod was just in Hookshot Cave or Zubalina Cave. Going to get that bottle with the fairy in it here in Hookshot Cave. Not really anything else in here to write home about, but that's a nice little additional safety if you happen to be making the checks anyway for something else.
Yeah. Yeah, and Skeeter's gonna skip the rest of the slump, which is understandable. There's nothing in the back anyways. That blue boomerang was the only even remotely interesting thing there.
Knows that there's an item on the boss, but does have the knowledge that Ped is just a piece of heart, so says it's just one thing, independent dungeon, we're gonna go ahead and try to make a better play. And it is gonna work out for him. So he should be back into Turtle Rock just a little while after Gil, who does have to make these front checks still, but Skeeter has done a little bit of this already, so they may even out a little bit once Skeeter is in the dungeon. Unless, of course, the Dead Rocks say no.
Dead Rocks. Big key and a side.
That will see Gylgamesh safely on through, but I have to imagine that he's going to check the vanilla big key location, that lava chest, because the ice rod's still not in evidence. You'd have to think that both runners are hoping here that both the flute and the ice rod are just going to show up here.
Yeah. Hope that it's not like just the flute, and then you gotta go chase boots checks for it for the ice rod.
At least both of them are in a position where they could attempt to preserve a portal on Laser Bridge.
Nice bowling pin bunnies, right?
And that check does appear to be most of what Skeeter needed to even this thing back up. Gylgamesh should be maybe getting into the back half of this second, in fact. Yeah, Skeeter's going to go see the double pokey room here first.
These two are neck and neck right now.
All of a sudden, after all of the twists and turns, once again, we've got a real race on our hands here, folks. Both runners taking Mimic Cave before the cave that's as likely as not to just have a small key in it. A big chest in Turtle Rock and a shovel.
Oh.
Video game, please.
Wowee.
Huzzah! Just what everybody wanted. We climbed the mountain, we got into the guts of the longest dungeon in the game, and we got a shovel. Skeeter a bit more efficient getting to the hook shot there, gained a second or so on Gylgamesh hooking to that big chest.
It had to have a key. There are still 4 items left in the rock. We have them running on Laser Bridge, and then risk the last one I'm trying next.
Skeeter having just a little bit of trouble with these Samaria platforms. That's the second one that he's fallen off of. Skeeter stopping off for health and magic while Gylgamesh, using the hookshot for invincibility frames, pulls back ahead. Sudden reversals of fortune abound in Turtle Rock tonight.
Alright, what do we have on Laser Bridge? Okay, there's the key that had to be here. Rest will be items. Rubber container. Red rupee. And a heart container. Is it really going to be the shovel?
It sure is looking like a shovel. And I'm not sure what Gylgamesh is doing here. Oh,
Kinda
preemptively setting up the death warp, I see.
Well, with red mail, that's kind of slow. Oh, it's gonna... Okay, gonna damage down, and then I guess death warp in the light world to try to keep that portal there. Although, does dying lose your portal? Okay, yeah, you can save your portal if you die in the had to get rid of the, remember to get rid of the fairy.
But again, Skeeter's Laser Bridge and Death Warp were just a little more efficient, and there is a vanilla flute. We've gone back to vanilla item day, apparently. We had that vanilla glove in Desert Palace earlier. Not to be slighted here, as Gylgamesh is going to be the second to activate the flute, does still have that sword advantage. There's a sword sitting on Pyramid Ledge that Skeeter has not found his way to.
Flute activated.
And it cannot be anything but a flute to 6. We'll get the Mire Shack check first, I would think, just because it's that quick. Then the dive into Mire. But there does exist that 1 in 5 items chance that the Ice Rod is just in Checkerboard Cave, and both of our runners will have to go all the way back through. Skeeter may have seen what that entrance requirement was, but I sure didn't. Basically has to be something we have in inventory, though, and there is the Ice Rod in Mire Shack.
At about 138.25, that is go mode. Or wait, okay, yeah, it's not Ether because Skeeter's... Yeah, that is going to be go mode, because we'll be able to get the boots in here.
It being Ether would have been kind of a final thumb in the runner's eye, because I think that would have had to locate it in Checkerboard Cave, and that would have killed the portal. Both of our runners exceedingly low on magic into this dungeon. There are a couple of magic decanters you can get your hands on, but it may cause some issues if you try to do North Firelocked before South. The low magic and the lack of sword beams certainly does not make Mire 2 a whole lot of fun.
I think you go for the boots, even if it's cutscene chest. is you don't want to run into that situation where the torch in GT has your big key and you have to come all the way back here for it.
Not only that, but the GT climb without boots, it's designed for you to have boots. If you don't have them, it can really just kind of ruin your day a little bit. Especially on Skeeter's side, not knowing where the remaining swords are going to be. You could be in a situation where you're doing a Master Sword climb, which again is not really standard equipment for the game. But until our runners find the big key, it's not really a cause for concern, because you may just find what you're looking for. Skeeter opts to use one of those blue potions, as I'm just going to go ahead and take care of this room now while I'm right here. We're not doubling back, we're not doing anything along those lines. Well, Gylgamesh is going to go pick up this full magic decanter.
I'm gonna skip out. I'm just gonna leave some chests behind for now. There's the big key.
Skeeter's going to go ahead and keep on hunting for the boots, not going directly to boss. I would say as expected, and it does make quite a bit of sense. Given all of the twists and turns we've gone through with this seed, that would be something the seed could do to the runners. Just say, oh, by the way, those boots that you didn't find because you rushed to the boss in Misery Mire, well, you need those, so go back.
Well, there's, I believe, an item on cutscene chest.
One item in cutscene, one item on the boss, and we are going to get divergence. It looks like Skeeter wants to go make sure that he gets whatever is here. Gylgamesh heading for the boss. It's something of the reverse of what we were seeing earlier, where Skeeter was saying no to Pendant dungeon bosses that he knew had to have items because of the Ambrosia rule. Now Gylgamesh says, well, it's a crystal that I need to beat anyway, let me just go ahead and get it done.
Oh, boots are on Vitreous.
Skeeter going to accept the time loss, Gylgamesh going to be not punished. Or at least potentially not punished, depending on where those big key ends up being in GT. But going to have that peace of mind that the boots are on the feet, all things are possible.
Clovers will make this very quick.
This boss is normally one of the two, along with Cold Stare, that locks those away, and for good reason. Not intended to have the magical ammunition used on it. Pop go all the eyeballs, boots fall from the sky, crystal number 6 falls from the sky, Gylgamesh in pretty good shape, going to be the first of the runners out of Misery Mire and heading back for Turtle Rock. And does remember that there is a portal to save here. It's going to take a little while on 16 Hearts Red Mail.
As long as you don't mirror into the light world, your portal will still be there.
Double checking with that map check to make sure that he had not done anything to delete that portal. Gylgamesh finds that he is indeed safe, just has to traverse Light World Mountain. While Skeeter picks up crystal number 6, is a little behind, but still has the time to climb.
Yeah, Skeeter is going to lose that portal. Yeah, if this were an Agastine, we wouldn't have been able to save the portal.
Gylgamesh hops down to that portal that he preserved there at the entrance to Laser Bridge, and now heading directly for Trinex. Skeeter unfortunately does have a bit of a slog back through TR. It takes about 4 minutes, even if you're not stopping to do anything along the way. And it's time that you can ill afford when your opponent is slaying Trinex, even as we speak.
Down goes Trinex, and now we've got to do. Now it's time for the GT Big Guessing.
Okay, chat, you know the drill. 22 checks in the basement of Ganon's Tower. 21 very likely to contain trash, given that we've got almost everything this seed. But one of them is sure to be treasure, that big key that Gylgamesh needs to climb the tower and end the reign of terror of the pig this evening. Go ahead and get your guesses in there. What do you think it's going to be?
I usually don't have a set number to guess, but I'll say 7.
Yeah, neither do I. As a runner more than a player of the game, I would say that I think in terms of route rather than worrying about where the key's going to wind up.
Absolutely nothing in Hope Room, so we're gonna have to go left.
No hope at all, not even as much as a small key. So here goes Gylgamesh. We'll see the torch. Were the boots meaningful today? Yes, logically required. With a hook and a bonk over into the Stelco's room.
And 4 it is.
Well, that didn't take long, did it? Not much in the way of routing that's going to help Skeeter at this point. If you're a Skeeter partisan, you're hoping that Gylgamesh makes a mistake. But we are going to see this Hammer Trinex fight from Skeeter. Got 3 good hits in to begin with, and alright, yeah. Gets the Firehead down, no problem. Icehead behaving, not putting any ice down. And it's Fire Rod spam, Sword Swing every now and again. And that gets the job done. Into phase 2 for Trinex, but Gylgamesh is into the Cannonball run here and about to enter the Gauntlet of Ganon's Tower. Skeeter back to the hammer, gets the job done on phase 2 Trinex as Gylgamesh is into Gauntlet 2, through Gauntlet 2 into Gauntlet 3, has that fire rod out for use on those Stalcos. And one good shot for the blue Zazak, because why not? Gylgamesh safely through the gauntlet into Landmo 2 as Skeeter exits Turtle Rock. Going with the fire rod strats here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 shots, 3 fried worms. Progress continues apace. Skeeter now into GT. The big key is not buried very deeply, but is going to make this hope check first. Not that it would save much time, but not going to save any time with the route. As Gylgamesh makes his way through Torches 1, past the potential mana refill room, Torches 2 also clear, has 2 small keys in hand, readies the bomb, not going to stop in Mini Helm room for anything.
Alright, Moldorm 2.
Oh, that was a poke on the second hit, and now the worm is angry, but Gylgamesh manages to get that spin in and end the fight. Gylgamesh has no time for your ultimate chest of the game, says Tempered Sword Silvers is more than good enough for me. I know where the last bottle is. I'm not getting it. The Ether Medallion does not do a thing to the pig. Instead, I have a wizard to fight, just like so. Bit of an awkward pattern for attempting to spin there, but he already had the spin charged. The second one gets no hits. That blue ball ruins his day. Gets a couple of hits on cycle number 3, raising his total to 3. But just one hit each of the next couple. This one should do it. 6 balls reflected into the wizard, and Aga falls to the floor. But wait, there's more. One wild pig appears and turns into a bat and flies away. Ganon maybe showing off that the MSU used should not have been Ninja Turtles, but in fact Castlevania. Skeeter roughly halfway through the gauntlet now, but Gylgamesh at an hour 53 minutes and 33 seconds is falling into the final fight. Pork is on the menu tonight, even though we're hearing about whole grain. Using some hookshot invincibility strats to make sure that he gets on through phase 2 and to dodge a few of those fire bats, Gylgamesh into phase 3. Two more hits to exit phase 3. Ganon just needs to cooperate a little bit and stop warping, and then 4 silver sticks will do the job. Has 2, and that looks like it could have been positioned for a double, but Gil opting to play it safe, just going to take the singleton.
Oh no!
And he has walked off the edge. Oh no. As a runner now, your heart is going at least a mile a minute. You're thinking, that was my shot, my opponent hasn't dot-donned, but could be dot-dunning any second, and now I have to fight the fight over.
Yeah, especially when you're almost 2 hours into this.
2 hours
just
into a
expecting that dot done.
relatively straightforward mode like Ambrosia. If it was keys or inverted keys, maybe you're thinking, okay, well, it was a little circuitous. Maybe my opponent missed the big key that led to some small key that gets you into Castle Tower 2 for your Ice Rod or something. But no, this is just 7-7 with an assured sword start, and you know that bosses are holding items. You don't expect it to take 2 hours, and you're wondering, when is my opponent dropping that dot done? But Gil is safely back into Phase 3 here as Skeeter takes out Moldorm 2, just waiting out those explosions. Let's get over to Hookshot and hook this chest to get on with the game. Has to be thinking much the same thoughts. There's 3 silver sticks and 4. I think we're going to see we're going to leave 2 full tiles of safety this time. Gylgamesh taking no chances the second time around, does have that sword up in the victory position. Get that TMNT fanfare playing out. And as Skeeter is in the midst of this Aga 2 fight, Gylgamesh will cross that bridge and is going to take home the W in this game. Go ahead and get your GGs in chat.
Finishing in first with a time of 1 hour and 57 minutes flat. Looks like Gylgamesh is in the waiting room, but we're gonna wait until Skeeter finishes the scan and fight.
And Skeeter knows there is a check right here, glances a second time, realizes that's gonna make my life a lot easier. I wish I had had that for maybe the past 20 minutes or so. Would have been nice. But hey, at least I have it now.
At it.
Yeah, we'll throw a bomb at it for good measure. You were not where I needed you to be. You sword, you. Why couldn't you have been on my critical path? Mildly surprised that Skeeter's opting for the cape here. That's a really nice position to get inside the ring with Tempered Sword and just do some spins on the pig really quick, but this also gets the job done. Gets through Phase 2 in one cycle. Silver indeed, Ganon's one true weakness. Let's see Skeeter execute the Silver's phase of this fight, get the job done, get the pig exploded, bring peace to the land. Potential triple, 1, 2, nope, not quite 3, but going to get that 4th and final stick into the pig right there. Go ahead and prepare your GG. Skeeter has a 15-second fanfare here, and then just has to cross the bridge. Now, we've seen how dangerous this is, as Gylgamesh managed to walk himself right off. Had to redo the whole fight, but here we go. Skeeter safely in the final door. That will do it. Go ahead and get those GGs in there, folks.
And we are now joined by both of our runners, Gylgamesh and Skeeter. GG to both of you.
GG.
Hey, Skeeter.
Hey. That was a seed.
That was a seed.
That was something else.
We rolled an all dungeon seed accidentally.
I don't remember the last time I played a 2-hour Ambrosia seed.
I know.
Well, Gil, I think we have to get the last thing out of the way first. The end of the first Ganon fight.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Listen, that's the first time I've ever done that, so I figured why not do it on stream?
Okay, I can respect that.
It's getting some extra practice in, you know? You can also lambaste me for not getting the second item in Skull Woods after killing Moth too, if you want. I'm open to that.
We were wondering at the time if something had happened there along the lines of a mistrack, but it kind of seemed from the way you then went back to it that wasn't what happened, because,
Just
I
a
don't know,
brain
at
fart.
least, yeah. When
I had
I
meant to
mistrack
go-
items, I'll just forget because I've already clicked it off. It's gone forever.
Yeah. No, I had meant to go back in and check the front, and after I checked PED, I was just like, oh, nothing on PED. Okay, time to save and quit. And then, of course, I checked everything else before going back there. But
It was a seed that really wanted to pull both of you into those pendant dungeons, and it looked for a while, Skeeter, like you were going to be able to avoid that Swamp Palace play, but eventually it caught up with you.
I mean, I think at that point there was very minimal stuff that I had left to do, at least in my tracker. And I was just like, well, I mean, I didn't want to go in there at all, but I got sucked in.
it was kind of hard not to, right? I mean, you get
Oh,
Lure
absolutely.
and flippers and hookshot and hammer that early, you're like, okay.
Yeah, it was very tempting to go into right away, but I was trying my best to avoid pendant dungeons like the whole seed, and that just it couldn't happen. I had to go into all of them.
Yeah, for a long while, because of the Mitts mishap on Gil's side, it kind of looked like you might have been able to run away with it, Skeeter, but then I think it was really the early Turtle Rock play, Sans Fire Rod, that got you. Because I'm wondering, and it's kind of tough to say after the fact, even as a runner, but if you had not made that play before, once you went up and checked Hera Basement and got the sword out of it, would you have considered Turtle Rock over Pendant Swamp at that point?
That I think, yeah, that I forgot completely about Turtle Rock. Like I you know, after, like, I think like you said, after getting the fire rod or dipping it early, it was just like, okay, I've done so much of this, I can't do much more. And then getting the fire rod, my brain instantly went, okay, Skull Woods, and then like, all right, now I got nothing. Like back to just pendant dungeons. I forgot about finishing up Turtle Rock. Had I remembered, I think that might have been something I've done, but it's hard to say now, you know?
Indeed, hindsight, routing, and all that.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I said, indeed, hindsight, routing, and all of that.
Yeah.
It's easy to say I would have after the fact, but when you're right in the guts of the seed, right there in the middle of it, it's really hard sometimes to remember, oh, I do have this. Do I really want to do that? I've already kind of been there once, and I still can't full clear it.
Yeah. It's, I guess 50-50 at that point would have been the better call, but I still think logically I made the right call, but it just, I don't know, I probably just need to take more gambles, especially that late in the game.
Now, Gilgamesh, this win does move you to 3-0 in Group H.
Shockingly, yes.
Nah, well deserved wins.
It is rando. It does take a little bit of luck sometimes, but that is halfway to 6, and
Yeah,
it puts 4 and 2 well within striking distance.
it's certainly a good start. I haven't played Humbug yet, so you know.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
So the 3000 elo monster lurks unseen. I
Yeah,
see how it
so-
is.
Is
So
right
I
around
still
the
got 2
horizon.
bosses to check off on my boxes, probably, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I would like to say it's rando, and it is indeed rando, but sometimes you look at some of these top runners and you say, you know what? I just don't know that I'm feeling the ability to get the W today.
It's a tall order, but you know, we'll see what happens.
But you'll give it the go all the same.
Yeah, maybe we'll figure out some way to beat him, right? Might get lucky and he'll go 0 to 6.
Got to clown extra hard.
Or yeah. Or 1 and 5, whatever it is. Yeah, I gotta clown very hard. We might be able to do it. Just need more ambrosia seeds like this. You know how to play
At
them.
least I didn't get inverted this time, so that, I mean, it was impossible for us to get inverted, but
Yeah, well, wasn't it? Yeah, oh god, yeah. Terrible.
But how have you been enjoying the, let's say, the diversity of modes in this tournament? Having the roughly 20% chance to pull one of 5 different ones. Of course, you had previously played against each other in inverted, as you were saying, so you weren't going to get it this time, but I find it at least a little interesting. I don't know how you two feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I like having a little bit of diversity. I mean, I don't like inverted, but I haven't played that already once. Was not a fan of that, but you know, other than that, I mean, I like the concept. I'd like to see maybe a little bit less keys and different other modes, but you know, I know that's all up for discussion in the council.
yeah, it's funny because I prefer the keys modes personally, so I like that there's a couple in there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it was an interesting twist though for a first time doing this. I like it.
Yeah, I definitely prefer this to the same mode the entire way through.
Yeah, it does get kind of stale after a while, but and I like not really knowing like, until 5 minutes before, and you know, having to like get my brain prepared that quickly.
Trying to get the right tracker up. And
exactly.
Tracker prepared that quickly. That's the part that I really dislike.
And it's like I gotta get out of this habit of doing like a half looking at my physical tracker and my mental tracker, because my mental tracker always gets the best of me, and I think I do things that I actually didn't do, which happens quite often, unfortunately.
Such is rando sometimes.
Absolutely.
So, Skeeter, first from you, any final thoughts on this seed or anything else upcoming in your group? Maybe matches-wise, anything else on the schedule for you?
Well, we got our game 1 against Pumba on Friday at 2 p.m. Looking forward to it. You know, going into the last 3 games here. I mean, got to really get into this mindset of gotta win, right? I mean, there's really no other option at this point. With Gylgamesh going 3-0 so far. So no, you know, I mean, just gonna play it out, do the best I can, and you know, hope for the best.
And Gil, how about yourself? Final thoughts on the seed, upcoming matches, those sorts of things?
Yeah, just next time I gotta remember to finish checking Skull Woods when I'm in there. I don't know. Yeah, I'm also I have a match scheduled for Humbug on Sunday, so that'll be my 4th. I forget what time we scheduled it for. It's in the morning, but got a couple days to prepare for that. We'll see.
All right. Well, thank you both for putting on a very entertaining show this evening. This is probably the time where I should say, since I did not say, and I don't think VXR said either during it, because we were too busy commentating on all of the things happening and trying to figure out who was going to find the next progression item in the chain. Go ahead and give these runners a follow if you enjoyed the show they put on for you this evening. Both Skeeter and Gylgamesh playing some rando for your entertainment on this Wednesday evening.
Yeah, and thank you for commentating. Thanks to the restreamer and tracker, and thanks for everyone who hung out and watched.
Yeah, exact same. Everything that Gil just said. Big thanks to you all for commentating, restreamer, trackers. You guys do a great job and make this thing happen.
And CVXR, they're making our job easy. We should say, remember, if you need some more Speed Gaming, some more Link to the Past tournament in your life, go ahead and follow Speed Gaming 2 through 6, ALTTP Randomizer 1 through 5. Looking at the schedule, let's see, do we have any more games that are kicking off or already underway? Looks like we do. I think even as we speak, we've got Big Dunka versus Wall Kicks over on Speed Gaming 3. We should be about 10 minutes into Hexadus versus So on Speed Gaming 2. And then coming up a little later in the evening on Speed Gaming Prime, we're going to have F. Coughlin versus PRD Wong. So if you need more Link to the Past main tournament randomizer in your life this evening, you're in luck, because it's tournament season.
Go enjoy those races.
VXR, it has been a pleasure working with you. I am MindDM, our Professor Pixie on tracking over there, pushing all those buttons to make sure that everybody knows what our runners had. VXR, I'm going to go ahead and let you have the final word and carry this thing on out.
Great. Thanks so much for watching. And until next time, have a good night.